Hey guys, welcome back to the church. We're turning this 2-piece bathroom into a 3. We're gonna remove this wall. We're gonna build out our bathroom. We're gonna install a shower. And we're gonna try to go through all these processes as quick as possible on permit with inspections. Tons to learn. All right. If you're gonna be renovating, do yourself a favor. Grab yourself one of these benches. They are so much better to work on than a ladder. And the secret is, even if you do fall off, you know how far you are from the ground. So you get used to it. And you can land on your feet. If you're on a ladder, because there's so many different steps, you never really know what's going on. You'll always end up on your butt. Okay, so what we're looking at here is cutting loose the drywall tape, because that is going to hinder our ability to rip the walls off. And unfortunately for our cameraman, I'm going to be ripping out this bead. This is metal, it's screwed or nailed on both sides, and I don't really remember which, so I've got to remove it with aggression. Okay, so this was just mudded on. Well, that made our life easy. This is one of the reasons why I try not to use these when I'm construction. I like to use the metal corners. If it comes off that easy, man, a 3-year-old can go running into that and then destroy your wall. Now, generally, drywall is installed at 4-foot levels, so there should be a joint right around here. Yep. Scratch one. This wall is 5 feet wide, so that means they used a horizontal installation. And so now we're just going to wiggle and jiggle the drywall, because the heads of the screws basically release from the back side of the wall. Okay? And when you're doing it that way, you take everything off in big pieces. Okay, so this drywall went in behind the corner, which means if I can take the rest of that side off up there, the rest of this should come off in maybe 2 more tries here. All right, up on our ladder. Oh, there's another drywall joint right there. Just open it like a door. You can always get started with the claw, but it's just wiggle and jiggle. There we go. Okay, now we see our framing. So we got fire blocking, which is nailed in from the sides. That's going to be in the way. We'll just hammer all of the fire blocking out, and then we'll pop off the studs. Oh yeah! All right, for the studs, just remember, there's 2 nails coming up from the bottom, 2 nails coming down from the top, and then just the drywall screws. Again, to get this off, really, get your claw in there, pull it forward. And you actually pull the screws out of the drywall. And you just peel it off the nails. Done. Now we want to swing. Now, you see how you got about 2 inches of nails sticking out? So you want to hit the bottom 2 inches of the wall, and that forces the nails to bend over as it's released. And then pull and twist. Keeping your work area clean is keeping it safe, okay? This one's going to be a little bit more difficult. They always put more nails in, eh? So let's just talk about the scenario here. What I've got is all kinds of weird framing. This plywood is my subfloor. So I'm going to remove everything down to the subfloor. So since there's a plate on it, and this is on the plate, this has to go, this has to go, that has to go, and then we're ready. So many things in said pocket. The difficulty here is that they've nailed through the sides, right? So you got 2 choices. You beat the living tar out of this thing, shatter this wood to pieces, or you just go grab a little tool and cut the nails. All right, so here's a metal blade. It's for cutting nails. It works amazing. That's it, nails cut. Okay, just push against the pedal. That way the blade does all the work. Now we'll be able to pop it off. And now we'll be able to pull it off those other nails So everyone knows how to use a hammer with the claw. You're going this way. But there is another fabulous, powerful way you can use it. Put the claw in the hole, and then you go contrary to the claw. Because this will open up a gap that you can get your hammer in another area. And when you're pulling apart framing, that's a powerful tool. What I did there, so those last 3 nails were released. That was easy to pull off. So now I've switched over to this wood blade. It's a short one. What I want to do is I'm going to cut this in half because it's all nailed all the way through. I'm going to cut it in half, and then it's a lot easier to peel open that way, okay, from the middle, instead of starting from the ground where the nails are coming out of the base. When in doubt and you're in a tight spot, you can't move things, just check the grain of the wood. This one is going on an angle this way, so if I put the heel of the claw into this and twist, I can split it right out of the way. That won't be a problem anymore. It's gonna be a lot of work. Now, punch the wood back. Now you can just remove the nail. Now there's no more fight until we get to that next one. Oh, it's on both sides. Oh, Lord help us. Alrighty then. Okay. There we go. Now, the benefit of what I just did, instead of just cutting through the entire wall, as you can see here, we know we have spray foam in this wall, which means we don't have any ability to double check where wires and things are running in the wall. So we gotta really, we're gonna do surgery, right? You can't just cut the patient in half and stick it all back together again when you're done. This one you gotta be a little more surgically minded. If you don't own one of these and you wanna get one, I've had mine for 20 years. It's a Stanley Wrecking Bar. Pretty sure we got the link in the video description. Oh yeah, we're almost there. Okay. Whew. Alrighty. Last up is the plate. And then we'll just try to throw a swing on it and see if we get lucky. Nope. That's pretty close. I got a lift. I'm gonna go sideways. I don't want to be doing anything that's putting my hand in the direction of those nails, right? We definitely got that. Okay. One of the things I love about this is it's got the claw, so it'll control this board. When it pops off the nails without a claw, if you're just using a big pry bar, they'll just fly at you. And it's a lot of nails flying at you, isn't it? All right. Okay. Woo. All right, so I went down to the permit office and I drew a little sketch. The idea is this: if we remove this wall, we can extend the platform and add a shower. But before we can go ahead with that plan, we've got to remove the wall and identify exactly if this plan is going to work, if there's any obstacles. So it's all about knowing the end from the beginning. I already bought my shower kit, so we're going to start this renovation and see where it takes us. The first step is for us to remove this wall. Then we can take some measurements and open up the shower kit and confirm whether or not my plan is even realistic. All right, so again, drywall tape. You've got to cut it because, believe it or not, there's a fair amount of resistance in the drywall tape. And if you don't cut it loose, you're going to have a bit of a fight on your hands. Now in this case, I'm going to leave the baseboard attached because it's only nailed to the drywall. And remember, it's 4 feet up. Should be a joint about here. So first I'm going to cut where the joint tape is, and you'll see how easy this separates. It's so much easier than demolition. The next piece is up by the ceiling. They'll probably just come together. Yeah. One more thing I want to do before we go talk about the plan is I'm going to take out my tool and I'm going to cut off all these nails. It's just an element of safety. If you're moving around with exposed nails like this, you're either going to step on one or run it through the side of your hand. Two things, we're making it safe, but we're also making it easy to tie in when it's time to rebuild, just by getting rid of all this here. Okay, so here's the plan. My shower is a 36 by 36 neo angle, which means it comes off the wall, goes on a 45, and then goes back again, 36 inches. This room is 5 feet wide, so there's room. I have an electrical plug here. It's against code to have an electrical plug in the bathroom. So what I can do is I can take that plug off, tie the wires together, and put a solid panel on there, okay? So the circuit stays alive. I have no idea how the wiring is done here. All of these walls are spray foam, so the last thing I want to do is try to open this up and then reconnect the circuit, because you can't find the wires without tearing all your foam apart. One of the disadvantages of all this modern construction is that you are flying blind. So what I'm going to do is just cap it. I'm going to even try to eliminate the need to move the baseboard heat. Okay, so if I can add 36 inches, no, I can add 32, which means I've got to steal 4 inches in here. Okay, so that means my shower is going to be on this wall here, and it's a neo angle, so it probably comes out like 18 inches to 20 inches, and then there's a door, and then the door will open. Okay, it's close. If I have problems with this toilet, because it's elongated, I can just change it to a round, so that shortens up the bowl depth so that the door can function. Solution to that problem, I got to cut away the carpet because I don't want to leave anything that can go moldy underneath my framing. Solve the electrical. I need all new baseboards. I'm going to need new flooring. The subfloor is 5/8, which is perfect. That's standard, and I've got OSB 5/8 now. So as long as I can build the same height of frame out here, and then find a way to level it off, we'll be okay. So that's step one, is clean this up, cut the carpet, and then add some more framing. Let's do a deck. This is why sweeping isn't necessary. All right, we can get most of this debris just by rolling up the carpet when we're ready. So we're gonna go 32 inches. Okay, plus wallboard and baseboard. I'm gonna go, what, am I 33 in total? Yeah. Okay. Generally speaking, old carpet like this is just glued down. There we go. We'll just toss all the debris. We'll roll all this up. Yeah, wow. Okay, there we go. Okay. Wow. Fascinated by the way that they frame this. There's all kinds of weird things going on. What I'm going to do is I've got to find a way to put framing at this height, same as the existing, put a new 5/8 layer of floor down so that it's seamless. And I got to have enough joist cavity and strength to meet code on all 4 sides plus a joist down the middle. My new shower pan goes off this corner, okay, and it's usually 12 inch and 12 inch from the corner, so the drain will be about here. And I've got to level it, and my floor is sloping. So I've got a fair amount of challenges. I think what I'm going to do is, I've got my laser line here set up. I'm going to make a cut on my drywall so that I can expose the framing. That way I can set this 2x8 and attach it to the framing. That'll be structural. This one will be attached into here. That'll be structural. And then I've got a couple of these dry core panels. And the reason they're here is because the church floor is still old and it has moisture wicking. So this will stop moisture transfer because the underside is insulated. That way I can take these and set them on here, okay? Here and here, put my 5/8 across, drill my hole, introduce my plumbing for the drain, and I can leave this end of the cavity open, all right? That will allow me to bring that plumbing out the back wall and then tie it across with all my laundry that's gonna go right over here. So we're gonna end up using a Santa flow system. It's gonna be a little pump so that the laundry and the shower both enter into the pump, and then we can tie into the existing pipe underneath that floor. It's a little busy and a little ambitious, but it's gonna work. I think we're gonna be okay. The secret for me is to get the building inspector in here. Once I've got this all framed up and I've got my plumbing introduced for where the shower will go and get an inspected rough in. That's my secret. So before I can get framing and plumbing rough in, I've also got to finish plumbing the laundry room. So altogether, to get occupancy, I need the shower, I need the laundry facilities. It's going to be a 7-part series. When we're done this, we'll be ready to get occupancy, and then we'll be ready to sell this place. Huh. What's all the organics there? What the hell? Somebody put the wrong kind of wood in there at some point. Not happy to see that. I mean, the spray foam works, but my God. Can you imagine having to trace a wire in the midst of that mess? Oh, Lord. All right, now I just need to get some measurements, cut some wood. We'll get our first 2 pieces on, and then we got to shim out to here. So I don't have any shims on me today, so I'm just going to cut some on the saw. All right, first piece. I'm going to go 32. Where's my laser line? There we are. Okay. 32, and then I'm going to need this -3. We'll go 57 1/4. Okay. Okay. Get that laser perfect. So traditional spacing is 16" on center. So outside to outside, okay? So that means this floor joist can be positioned that far away without any problem at all. And then when the next one comes in, the question that we have is the shower pan drain going to be in the right location? If you're not sure, you got to open the box. Okay. Okay, I know it's open. Make sure you go through everything. Don't lose anything important. You'd be surprised. Sometimes they pack things in the weirdest way. All right, now we're just gonna close this back up. Tape it shut until we're ready to install the rest of the shower. Okay, here we go. So let's, for argument's sake, let's go back to knowing the end from the beginning. Okay, let's say that that's our location. All right. We're gonna do, set the pan in. And I'm doing this simply because I don't expect everybody to come with a ton of experience here. All right. Now when you're thinking ahead like this and planning, remember we're gonna build a wall here, okay, on top of the deck. So it's gonna be 3.5 inches from the edge of the wood, all right? So let's do this. We'll move our frame in line with that. Remember, this is just to support the weight. And it gives us an idea of where the shower base will finish. Okay, so now I can make my plans. Now I can reach in this hole and I can go, X marks the spot. Now, traditionally these are 12 and 12, like I said, to the center. Yeah, bam, right on. So at least everything's consistent and easy here. I like that. So this is where my P-trap needs to come. So the best option for me to build this wall is either here, because remember, the drain is there. You've also got this drain assembly underneath, and you've got to leave a couple of inches for this, okay? If you don't leave room for this underneath the pan, and let's say you put it too close, now you're not going to be able to set your pan down because you're going to have this part contacting the joist. You're gonna have to cut it out and make a mess, okay? So just always give yourself a little bit of room. Now, if I set it here, I'm okay for the plumbing. 21 inches away. If I set it here, right, I'm only 13, and that's fine. And then over here, I'm 19. 19 isn't bad. You could probably get away with a 19-inch space with a floor joist, especially when it's got direct contact, okay, to the concrete. It's not spanning a big distance. But just for argument's sake, let's say we want to guarantee that we're not going to have a problem with inspection. I'm going to go short here, I'm going to add another one short here, and add another one over here for structure. That way it's easier to have an extra joist in a package and know you're going to pass inspection than to try to be reasonable, because you never know what kind of day your inspector's going to have. Fascinating, isn't it? That's level. There's a bigger gap here than there is over here. Fun. This floor's obviously got a bowl to it. Okay. So now it's my job to install all that level. Whenever you're dealing with a floor package, if you're going to attach this after the fact, you've got two options. You can go with a joist hanger system, or you can just screw it in and toenail it in, but you've got to have shim down here that transfer the load to the floor, okay? So what I'm going to do is just cut a series of shims that are like 1/4 to 1/2, and we'll just run that through the table saw and bring them over and wedge all this up nice and easy. We're going to set the table saw on a 2.5 degree angle, all right? And we're just going to cut and flip until we got a bunch. All right, so now we've got a whole variety from super thin to really thick. That'll make my life nice and easy. All right, so I'm gonna go 12.5, 22.5. I'm just gonna write that on the board so I don't forget. There we go, 12.5, 22.5. Beautiful. And just to get things started, we'll throw in a screw like this. Now the key is to lift up the one side, open that gap, intentionally leave that wedge, because now I'm higher and it can be adjusted. Do the same thing here again. Lift it up higher than what I want. On the mark. Oh, things wobbled around on me here. Because we're going to take this from this ledge to the wood, and we're going to find a level spot. That's pretty close. Now I know that this has to come down. I just screw it, and I keep screwing until it's nice and flush. All right, makes sense? Get a little bit of a wedge on there. This isn't perfect the first time. You just want to get it close. And then we screw this down until it's flush. Probably need something this aggressive. Okay, so now we can use our light aluminum level. It's lifted right off the ground, eh? Look at that. That's amazing. What the heck's that all about? I guess my plate was twisted. There we go. So now these are all installed flush. We're going to come over here with our light aluminum level, and we're just going to adjust our angle here. It's still not quite perfect. So I'll take a second shim, okay, and I'm going to go double stack that in the middle, and then I'm just going to keep on adding more height. Oh, here we go. Because we've got the ability to make this perfect. And then it makes the installation of the shower pan so much easier if the floor is perfect. So take your time and fix this stuff right here. Loving it. Well, that's almost perfect already. Same thing. It just needs a little here. Good. Perfect. And that's how you know. Something is definitely wrong here still. Oddly enough, this is right underneath the shower pan. I'm more concerned with flush than level at this point. And part of what's going on is this particular piece of lumber is sitting a little low on this end. So it's a little low on this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shim this till it's tight. Better. And then I'm going to back that off over there and make sure that this is all flush. There, that's much better. Okay. Oh, now I can add some more screws over there. We're almost done framing. The floor, that is, anyway. Now, right about now, a bunch of you are saying, oh, hey, wait a minute, Jeff. Those screws aren't rated for structure. You can't hang a joist like that. Like, no, you can't. But if you add your shims, okay, then you can sure as heck make the argument that since you've transferred load, you don't need to add structural components to that end of the joist. Okay? And it's that simple. There we go. Boom. Transfer load. And that's how you make this easy. All right, so we're going to go 12.5 to there. So I need a piece of 14. Now I'm going to cut ends. I'm going to cut a 14. So I'm going to cap from here to here, and I'm going to cap from here to here. I'm going to nail all that together. Okay? All of this is going to be transferred to the ground now. Once I've capped these two ends, I'll be able to put my plywood on top, and then we can build the walls. Okay. Now, because I'm using steel nails here, this actually is considered structural. If your wood is twisted, you grab your hammer with your shark tooth here, and you can twist the board to square it off. Put some weight on this, and lift this and twist that board in place. And you can square everything off. Not bad. Now, just to keep everything from moving apart, I'm just going to throw a couple of screws down at an angle into that floor panel. We don't want this slipping around over time. So now this is all one piece, right? All right, so let's just go through this. We've got the location for our plumbing. We've got lots of room. We've got everything transferred, load to the floor panel. I got the 2 different boxes here anchored to the same panel. So I've got access to run the plumbing. So that way I can continue to go on. I can put the deck on and build my walls and worry about passing my framing and my plumbing inspection at the same time in a couple of days when they get here. 59 3/4 and 32 1/4. Okay, since I'm cutting something that's supposed to be square, I'm using the inside corner of that tongue and groove plywood here. That will make it very seamless transition. I don't want to have the tongue involved with that, right? Get that lined up. We'll throw a chalk line on this real quick. So that's just floating here on this one little piece of wood, right? I don't have supports underneath. So you can plunge cut here and then it's safe. Ta-da! Good to go. That's the piece that I need, like a glove. Okay. Now I'm gonna use regular deck screws. Pretty sure these are, what are they, 1.5 inches. There we go. Code requires every 16 inches, which is great. That's more than enough. Because I'm using a shower pan and I have extra floor joists, I'm not going to concern myself with gluing it down, but there are 2 methods on the market for that. You can use like a PL Premium and a caulking gun for a small space. They also sell a foam adhesive that you can put into a foam gun, and that works great as well. All right, see that? I'm measuring by this. So now I can throw my drill in the same mark here. I can just stand it up. And that's perfect every time. Pretty much a full drill, eh? Whoop, missed. What did I do wrong? Full drill in a bit. There we go. All right, next up in our little adventure here, we're gonna build the outside wall. And we have to decide, based on where the shower door opens, what the kit recommends for where the water should be. A lot of these doors that have a single swing like this will make a recommendation so that the water will be on either this wall or this wall. We want to match that up because our door is limited opening only one direction. So we want to pick the paperwork out of that box, find out what they recommend, and make sure that we install it that way. Because if they make a recommendation, it means that the design for the shower has a weak spot for letting water in. So it's best to follow it. Whew, starting to feel like a bathroom. So we have a nail here. I'm gonna try to use my safety squints, right? Nice and slowly. Okay. This is how you can tell the difference between someone who does hand taping with drywall like I do, or someone that uses the machines that you see on the TikToks. Check this out. Look how easy this peels out. Okay. That was 42 years ago, right? It's exactly the same in brand new houses, just 3 weeks after they've done it. It just peels right out because they're not putting any pressure. There's no bond. See how the mud, this tape is dry? It's just set in there. It's not really bonding to the mud. That's why I never use it. People ask me, why don't you use the big machines? Look at, that's not quality. There's nothing about that I want to have on my job. This is what people who are in a bloody hurry making money do. Not people that are trying to do something perfect. There's barely any mud. It's like, what, 1% contact? You'll never see those machines on my job site because of that. I'm starting to get excited. This is gonna look like a bathroom in a few minutes. We gotta frame a wall. But before we do that, let's go to the paperwork in the shower box, find out where they want the water supply. All right, check this out, guys. These are my 2 walls. So if I want the shower plumbing on this corner, let me just line it up for you. Over here. If I want the shower plumbing in here, it's perfect if my door opens this way. And that's exactly what I want. Okay? That's the good news, right? That means this shower is designed to not leak with the water on with the door closed if the plumbing is here. If the plumbing was on this wall with this door configuration, what they're trying to say is there's a weakness in this corner. Okay? So they don't recommend it. So make sure you pay attention to the paperwork before you build something, especially if you got control over that scenario. I always know the end from the beginning, right? Good, because if I had to put water over here, it was a lot of extra work. So I'm glad I don't have to do that. Now all I gotta do is take my measurements for my height and my width. The way the church here is built, guys, there's a joist every 12 inches, okay? So there's lots of wood around. And this 1x2 strapping can actually be used, just like I pulled that header out, to secure a wall. And I don't have to remove the drywall to secure a wall. So I can actually build this wall right here, go right up to the ceiling, and then screw through to where I know those lines are because I've already identified them. That will just be straight across, right? And then this wall, I can nail to join here, and then the outside corner, and I don't have to attach into the ceiling. Always good to know where you're gonna be nailing, and if you're not sure, cut the drywall out. For me, I don't care. I can actually put my phone up there, take a picture, identify if there's any wiring in the area, and you know, from experience already working here, I know where the wiring is. It's all in the middle of the church. I'm on the side now. So I'm pretty comfortable. But I will take a picture to confirm it. Just so you know, when you're nailing blind, you can cause problems. So be careful out there. It ain't perfect, but it's not bad. Okay, so this is somewhat level. That wall's somewhat level. So this is just framing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna measure bottom 2 plates. We'll stick them together. We'll get up to the top, we'll nail the outside corner, and then we'll add a couple shims if needed where we're attached to the walls just to square everything off. When you're framing walls for a shower, this is your opportunity to make it perfect. The rest of the installation, all the glass doors, the panels, the wall, everything goes so much smoother if you're flat and level and flush and plumb. So really take your time to make everything absolutely perfect. You can move a job along a lot quicker, rushing through the framing phase. But then everything else after that takes twice as long to complete because everything else is getting adjusted and leveled as you go. Start level, plumb, and flush, and everything else is half the time. And since framing is only 10% of the job, you can save a lot of time doing good framing. Okay, let's build the big wall first. What do you say? Yay! That sounds like a good idea. This bad boy is going to be 59 and we're going to call it 5/8. Yeah, why not? Sounds good to me. 59 and 5/8. When you're building a wall, you need a top plate and a bottom plate, and you need to stick every 16 inches. But consider this, the end from the beginning, right? So we're 3.5 inch in, good. Now's a great time to take a look at that paperwork, right? Because I know this particular shower pan, when you look underneath, right, it's got this grid, and it, generally speaking, transfers load really well to the subfloor. And if everything is perfectly smooth, there's no need to add anything underneath here. But if there's any rock at all, you see, we're working with wood. There's no such thing as perfect. So we're going to put a little bit of cement underneath this to make it perfect. But check with your instructions to find out, is there a requirement for wood in the wall right here? Does this glass door sit in there, and then is there some sort of a track that gets screwed into the wall? Okay, 95% of the time that's the case, all right? So consider, you're gonna wanna have a stud in line with these 2 grooves because the glass panel sits in it. So I am gonna wanna have a stud right in this location, okay? So we'll measure off the corner to the groove, 34 3/4. Add the 3.5 for this wall here. So I got 33 3/4 plus 3.5. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a mark on the side here. Okay, center stud right there. All right, it's going to be the same on the other side, but you can see there's already wood in that wall. So if I measure off my 3.5 here, my frame goes here. Okay, I'm going to need a double frame here because this stud is going to come short. It only goes to about here. And that's not where I need it. So part of my remodel is going to be to add a double stud here. So I've got to open up the rest of this wall because I got to be able to get wood up here to be able to stick that in. Okay, good. Now we got a plan. We also know we wanted the water on this side, right? And generally speaking, you want it in the middle of your shower. 3.5, good. And the shower area, we're dealing with 34 inches, okay? 17 inches, all right? So this is where I want to have my shower controls, okay? So this particular wall, I'm going to want to have a stud here, and I want to leave room for all my plumbing. So my water supply, my control valve, so I'm going to put the 8 there, draw a line, put an X, go to the 16, draw an X, stud, 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 and then one over here. Okay, now I've got my layout for my water supply because the shower valve, we'll put a piece of horizontal wood to mount that plate on. That'll make life easy. Now I've got a plan. Now I got a plan I can execute. Beautiful. And I'll show you how to cheat to do this. All right, 59 5/8. Write it down. Nothing more maddening than having the number disappear. And it happens all the time. Just as soon as you go to cut it, the phone rings. Or the wife calls you, or the kids walk in the room. All right, and this one is going to be 3.5 back from here. 1, 2, 3.5 to here. So this plate is going to be 32 1/4. Now we're going to cut the top and bottom plate for both of these walls, set them here, and then use the information we drew on the floor to translate that onto the plate itself. And so then we'll know our stud locations. All right. I know I want to have the center of a board right here. So I'm going to put a stud here. And in order to put the drywall in properly, I need a stud here. So I have inside corner to attach my drywall. Okay, and then of course I want one here. Make sense? And then from here I want every 16 inches. And that is the red squares. And that is necessary to maintain the integrity of the drywall. Of course we want one there, and because everything is all screwed up, and we're going from 4-foot piece of drywall. All right, so here's the thinking. I need this for the outside corner. I need this for an inside corner. Drywall starts here and goes 4 feet. So that's right here. So I need this stud so that I got a joint on the wall for the next piece of drywall, right? Because I have to use green board inside the shower, but I don't need it on the outside of the shower. And I have just enough white drywall left to finish that off. So great. The other thing you could do is you could buy a 10-foot long piece of drywall and you can cut 5-foot long sheets and stack them. It's all up to you, right? Depends on the materials you have available. Here we need something on the end, both sides, so we can attach everything together. And we've already drawn on the floor the spaces for our interior, okay? Now, I did say that studs need to be 16 inches apart. And I'm kind of cheating because I use 8 as my center. So now I'm not on center with these two, but I'm only a 1/2 inch off, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay, if you're worried about that, you could draw a center line and you could move these over just a touch, right? And why not? Let's just do that. Okay, now no one has to worry about it. Now, I know how many studs I need. All I gotta do is figure out the height, build the sucker, stick it in place. I need 11. It's 104 1/4. Or 104. 104. We're just gonna go 104 for everything because I'm gonna mount it with screws and I'm not worried about that. It's gonna work out great. So if we cut everything at 104, everything fits and it won't have to fight around too much. Now that's the total height. Now we also gotta take off the thickness of the two 2x4s, which is 3. We'll cut everything at 101 and 12 of those. Just a quick note, when you're handling large lumber like this, don't slide it through your hands. Grab it and release so you don't get slivers. One of the things you can use your tape measure for is for squaring off the ends, okay? Done. Ready to cut. So the way we do this is we take our top plate and bottom plate like this. We set it down, we lift one up, we walk straight over and set it down again. Don't ever turn it around, it'll make your wall really funny. All right, there we go. And we just start nailing. 2x4s, we need 2 nails at each end. 1 nail for every inch of dimensional lumber. Okay, there's a stud in this wall. If that is anything close to level, I'm good. Well, I didn't find it, but that'll still keep it from falling over until I build the other wall. There we go, now we're good. One thing you're gonna find when you're framing, if you're using nail guns like this, if the wood's warped and it's got gaps, the nail will leave the gap in a lot of cases. The screw, that's not in yet. Watch this. Now it's closed. Now it's square. We're gonna put it into the floor now. Not just the floor, but also into the joist. See? Now, that's how keep things from moving around. Okay. Yeah, I definitely have a bit of a warped piece of wood here. Okay. All right, so this stud is bowed. This one is straight. Because I'm screwing, I can fix that by wedging in my hammer and screwing on an angle. Okay, now there's a nice big gap. The screw is through the wood and into the next one. So I remove the hammer and the screw is maintaining that gap. But now when I drive this home, because it's on an angle, it'll pull the stud forward as well. Here comes the magic. Perfect every time. Now, it's just a matter of me putting enough screws. I'm really looking for every 16 inches or so on the perimeter, up and down, around the floor. I gotta measure across and get a few screws into that strapping in the ceiling. She's done framing, right? Wow, time to move on to the next step. Now we're pretty solid, except we're not on this wall. We've got to identify what the problem is over here. See if we can find a stud here. There it is. Okay, let's level this wall off. Perfect. Okay, so here's what we know. There is a stud starting right here. Okay? So if I put my screw on an angle, I will find that wood. we're solid.